Hey everybody, it's a very sad day for Saints fans and fans of Jameis Winston like myself. Winston, in the second half of a game where he was performing so well that he had a 108.8 rating, if I'm not mistaken, even better than Trent Simeon and better than who came in to replace him to finish the second half in the game, and much better than Tom Brady, who scored a 77. I don't know how the game is going to turn out. The Saints were driving with Simeon in a slightly different game plan. The Saints are down to their last quarterback. But spiritually, I was thinking and saying, why is it that of all the games for this to happen to Jameis Winston, it has to be this game? This game that everybody's marked on their calendar, even if they didn't want to admit it, because it was the return of Jameis Winston as a starting quarterback and revenge against the team that let him go in a way that was extremely unfair, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for me, I go back to how I first heard about Jameis Winston. He was described as the chosen one. And I never heard announcers and fans talk about a black quarterback with such reverence as Jameis Winston. And it wasn't because he had runs. He wasn't great on his feet. He wasn't the fastest player. He can run, certainly, effectively. He did so at Hueytown. But he was regarded at one point as the best passer in the nation coming out of high school and the best passer in college. So much so that defenses came up with special ways to stop him in the second year and spent overtime analyzing him and dissecting him to figure out how to, if you will, break him. And then he had off the field occurrences that, had he been white, arguably, him giving crab legs, the store that he got the crab legs from wouldn't have said that he stole them. The store would have made a deal with him to help market the store. But because he's black and male, he's made to look like a criminal. Jameis Winston represents the plight of every black male professional. You make all the right moves, you go to college, and basically live your life like your peers with the same lofty ambitions. We all have that. But then what gets in the way is the institutional and the real racism. Well, institutional is also real racism that hampers every black professional male. It doesn't matter who it is. We all know that there's this idea that you shouldn't be driving while black, right? Or look what happened to George Floyd. And even though you might talk about his background, the simple fact of the matter is that George Floyd didn't go into adulthood expecting for his life to turn out the way that he did, because the chances are not there for him. By contrast, the chances were there for Jameis Winston and have been, but it seemed like it doesn't matter if it's somebody out there who is an autograph hound trying to steal his signature and make money from it, or people who were on Team Winston who weren't really for him and really got him into the trouble where, for example, he wound up with an Uber driver, and that Uber driver was told, hey, you're carrying a NFL star, basically a rich person with a lot of money. And that person waited about a year, 2 years before filing suit and getting an attorney that actually had experience at going after Jameis Winston. And the first time it happened, we know what happened with Erica Kinsman, where Erica lied about it and wound up changing her story something like 8 times. When the truth of the matter is she had 2 black boyfriends, but her family, including her auntie, who was Patricia Cornwell, the attorney, that represented her at one point, said that her niece does not date black boys. She put it just like that. Jameis didn't see that coming. He was in college, went to Potbellies, met a woman who, both like him were underage. They're both 17 and had drink, and she was aggressive when she had drink. None of that is true. Instead, what we had, because Jameis was a big star there, meeting a cleat chaser more than once, and then in the middle of groups who wanted to use social media to advance a right-wing agenda, they made Jameis Winston one of their memes, particularly because he's a black quarterback and she's white. What happened to Jameis Winston is a microcosm of what happens to black professional males in America. And so we are all rooting for him and have been rooting for him to overcome the weird forces, the evil forces that have worked against him. And so in that context, you wonder why that happened to him. But then you look at the outpouring of love and support that Jameis has received from his teammates, well-wishers, friends, and football fans, and you realize that this MCL tear is a 2 to 4 week affair. Hopefully he comes out back in 4 weeks and it's not season ending and he can get revenge against the Buccaneers. And then there's the other question you have to ask is that why is it that, as my mom and I were talking about, a black man, David White, was the instrument for Jameis' injury? Can't let that one go. And my answer is that it seems to me subconsciously we work harder against each other to succeed than, for example, even if the quarterback is white. Because you've never seen anybody grab Tom Brady by the horse collar, okay? Ever. He's played a long, long time, and I've watched him for a long, long time. A number of games I've been at in person. And not that I ever wanted to. You don't want anyone to see that happen to. That's a horrible tackle. It's horrible. And then Antoine Winfield went to mock Jameis with the W sign. EW, all right? They undoubtedly got from it being put out by Jameis, but then also, frankly speaking, repeated again and again and again by white media. So white media establishes this image of Jameis, and there are even people who look like us, blacks, who are athletes who play against him, who use it against him after he suffered an injury that we all pray is not season ending. Think about it, okay? So it's in this overall sphere that says we don't want you to succeed that Jameis is trying to do what we're all trying to do, just succeed. Succeed not just for ourselves, but for our families and our friends and our loved ones. That's what it's all about. There's nothing wrong with that. So everybody should root for Jameis Winston because his success not only means the success of black men in America, it means that America has come that far and advanced that far. I remind you that the different transgressions and different jokes and everything that get tossed at Jameis Winston could be done to anyone. Anyone can turn a camera at a player at a training camp and see them make a mistake and then amplify it, but they don't. But they do it with Jameis. Anyone can take an NFL player and record what that person says and then make fun of the way that they say it. But they don't do it, but they do it to Jameis. Why is it that conservative publications like the Daily Caller had special tags for Jameis Winston when the Daily Caller is not a sports publication, a sports blog? Explain. And not only that, the Daily Caller wasn't writing about or blogging about or even video blogging about sports events, calling who won and who lost on a regular basis. That's not what the Daily Caller regularly does. Why was it so important, and has it been so important for the Daily Caller to put out content about black quarterbacks, in particular Jameis Winston and of late Teddy Bridgewater, after he was named starter for the Denver Broncos? Okay? So it's this overarching energy negative energy that society places on black professional males, that has diminished considerably. Let's be honest, it really has. But it's not to the point where we feel like there's a new day. I feel like we're getting to that new day. And I felt like we were on our way to that new day, and then George Floyd happened. And what occurred to me was the vast number of what people now call microaggressions that have been done to black men that will cause a white police officer to think it was okay to kill George Floyd by putting his knee on his neck for over 9 minutes. It's still one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in my entire life, and I hope and pray I never, ever see anything like that again, either in person or on television or any kind of media. That was horrible. And it's caused me to ask the question, how did we get here and what did we miss? What did I miss? And I think we all have to be gauges of each other to say, all right, this is not right to do. Don't do that. It's racist. That is correct to do and uplift that person. What's saving us, what's saving this society is integration, okay? People realizing that it doesn't matter who you marry, it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody is deserving of the same rights and freedoms as American citizens. And that's what makes America great. It's not about making America great again. America was always great. America is always great. America will forever be great as long as we insist on that simple idea that each one of us has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Or, as it is said, we're fighting for your right to party. And I hope you take that in the best spirit that it's meant. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.